Hi friends, it's David here, and today I want to talk to you about high-end alternatives to Waitlist watches. Specifically, I want to talk about the Rolex Daytona, the Royal Oak from AP, and the Nautilus from Patek. Now, if you're interested in these watches, you probably already discovered that they're pretty much impossible to get, at least for a reasonable price. So let me show you some interesting alternatives that are freely available at the stores. Let's get right into it and start with the Rolex Daytona. Now the Daytona is probably the hardest to get Rolex that is still in production. People are talking about 10-year waiting lists for this piece. Now in case you don't know, if somebody offers you a waitlist time and the number they give you is anything above 3 years, in plain English, this actually means you will never ever get this watch. Now if they talk about 10 years, this means you will not get this watch, your son will not get this watch, and neither will your grandson. So good luck buying a Daytona at list price. You have to go to the grey market, and there you pay around $24,000 for a new piece, which is insane. So what options do you have? If you think about steel sports chronos, the first contender that comes to mind is probably the Overseas. And if you look at them side by side, you would probably agree that in terms of look and design, the Overseas would be a good alternative to the Rolex Daytona. However, we're talking about a $30,000 watch here. Remember, the grey market price of the Daytona is about $24,000. So you'd have to pay even more to get the Overseas at the store. Now in my opinion, this is not a valuable option. We're gonna need a piece that has about the same retail price as the Daytona, which lies around $13,000. And at least in the same ballpark with $17,000 is this beautiful watch, the Bulgari Octofinissimo. Now I just love this watch. As the Daytona, it is a steel sports chronograph. It has beautiful unique design, a very reputable brand. Bulgari in recent years has really earned their reputation as one of the master watchmakers, especially movement makers. We have a chronograph movement here with one little twist that I absolutely love. And that is at 3 o'clock, there's actually a second time zone. It's going all the time, it's independent of the chronograph pushers. So we have a chronograph and a GMT combined in one, which I just love. Now the biggest difference to the Daytona obviously is the thickness of the watch. There are some people who prefer a thicker watch, but in my opinion, the fact that the Octofinissimo is so slim is an absolute advantage. I love the looks of a slim watch, and I very much appreciate the skills that go into manufacturing such a slim watch, especially such a slim movement. We're talking about 6.9 millimeters here. And that's not the movement, that's the whole watch. The movement alone has a thickness of 3.3 millimeters. This is insane for a chronograph. And you're actually able to appreciate it every day since the watch has a display case back and the movement is beautifully finished. It has this exterior platinum rotor, which is something you really rarely see. So all in all, I think the Bulgari is even a more special watch than the Rolex. Meaning you don't see it as often on the street. You definitely see less fakes because the Daytona, I think, is the second most faked model of watches in the world, just after the Submariner. I mean, you see it everywhere, and the fakes these days can get pretty good. Good luck faking the Octofinissimo. Nobody will be able to fake a 3.3 millimeter thick movement. It's just not gonna happen unless you use a quartz movement. So you will not see a fake of this watch on the street. Now, if you think 17,000 is a bit high, you could go for the regular version without the chronograph, without the GMT, just a small seconds complication. This will set you back about 13,000, pretty much the same price as a new Daytona. And the Octofinissimo is freely available. You can walk into the store, walk out with it the same day. If not, you will wait like 30 days for it. Now before we move on, a little bonus option I want to give you to the Daytona. If you say screw it, I need a Daytona, I'm gonna pay the 24,000 on the grey market, then let me show you another watch that is available at list for about the same price. And that is the Daytona in gold. Get this, for the price of a regular Daytona, you can get a gold Daytona in the same time. No waiting list. Now granted, only the case in this model is gold. You got the rubber band. I like it. If you're not a fan of it, 10,000 more and you got the full bracelet gold piece. So next watch I want to give you an alternative to is the Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet. It is not as hard to get as the Daytona, but under 2-year waiting time, probably not gonna happen. Now you probably heard the term Holy Trinity of watchmaking before. The 3 brands with the best reputation in all of watchmaking. Can you name all 3 of them? It's probably Rolex, Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe, right? Wrong. Rolex is not considered part of the Holy Trinity of watchmaking. It's Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin. So to find a suitable alternative for the Royal Oak, we're gonna look at the Overseas. Now at 21,000, list price is about the same as for the Royal Oak, but you can walk into a store and get it immediately. Now in terms of quality, you could even argue that the Overseas is a notch above the AP. You also got an integrated bracelet, beautiful movement with display case back, a solid gold rotor, and get this, it comes with 3 bracelets in total. A stainless steel, a rubber and a leather strap. And you can switch them out just by pushing a button and pulling it out, not having to use any tools. So that's a pretty straightforward alternative to the Royal Oak. It speaks the same design language, at least on the same level in terms of quality, if not superior. It has the same price and freely available. Now let's get to the final one, to the Nautilus from Patek Philippe. This, in my opinion, at the moment is the watch that is hardest to get of all the watches that are still in production. There's an insane demand for this piece and a very limited supply. And the demand, if you ask me, is justified. This is just such a special watch. There's nothing like a Nautilus, which is why when we're looking for an alternative to it, we're not looking for a look-alike. What we're looking for is a watch that conveys the same kind of feeling in the design. Now the main characteristics of the Nautilus design, in my opinion, is this incredible mixture of rugged industrial look on the one side and pure elegance on the other. I think the Nautilus combines these 2 worlds better than any other watch in the world. Now there's one piece though that does a pretty good job at this as well. And here I'm talking about the Cartier Santos. You got these randomly orientated screws all around the bracelet in combination with the square-shaped case that gives you this industrial raw feel. But then you also have the mirror-polished bezel, beautiful blue sunburst style with applied polished Roman numerals that brings in that elegance at the same time. So in terms of design, I think it can give you a comparable feel by combining these 2 elements of industrial design and pure elegance. Now we got to look at the price though. The Nautilus has a list price of 27,000. That's unheard of for a steel piece. And if you actually want to own one, you will have to pay close to $70,000 on the grey market. This is insane. Now the Santos on the other hand you can get under $7,000. So for one Nautilus you can buy 10 Cartier Santos. Granted, in terms of value retention, the Nautilus is superior. At least if you can get it at list price. But in my opinion, the Cartier has some potential there too. As far as I know, there never was a colored dial on a Santos before. At least not a blue one. Also in the current lineup, you only find white or silver. There's only one blue, only this model. So I think there's a good chance that in the next 3 to 5 years, Cartier will stop producing this piece and not replace it. This piece could get very rare and has the potential of even making you some money in the long run. So all this combined, I think the Cartier Santos is an interesting alternative to the Nautilus. So there you have it, friends. These are the waitlist alternatives that I wanted to show you. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. I have lots of content in the pipeline that is coming up soon. Don't miss it and have a good day.